What's good, guys? CJ here, and today we got a video regarding Duet Night Abyss. It's titled Duet Night Abyss, No Gacha, Same Problems, First Impression Review. Now, I don't know anything about this video, but it seems that the community is up at arms about it. There were some takes in here that were rather interesting, so I really want to see what's been going on because I kid you not, I got sent this video over like 3 to 5 times. In the chat today, I got asked to react to it. Yesterday, I got asked to react to it, and I wasn't going to react to it, but I got some food. I'm hungry, so we're going to yap it up and overall see what this video is all about. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see.
Duet Night Abyss has just launched, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it's all that impressive. The game boasts one of the first mobile games that was formerly a gacha but transitioned to a gacha-less model afterwards, with the incentives that it's a game that respects your time and no fear of missing out in its mechanics. It certainly sounds a bit too good to be true, and let's be real here. It is. Hi, my name is
Why is it? Why is it too good to be true? What?
and I'll be breaking down each of DNA's features and let you know what I think if it's good or bad for the future of gacha games. However, despite all of what was promised, the thing I think DNA will struggle with the most is something more ingrained in its design, and not actually related to the monetization or farming mechanics. So today I have a lot to say about this potential future giant indie gacha gaming space. Let's get right down to it. First,
Dog, I just want to know, yes, it has gacha mechanics, it has gacha costumes and everything, but this ain't the core of the game, right? You guys have heard me say it. By that, metric, a lot of other games with loot crates and shit are gacha games, right? This game has gacha for cosmetics, but outside of that, you get everything by just playing the game. So I don't feel like pairing it in the same category of games like Withering Waves and Genshin Impact and such, where you're gachaing for the literal characters you used to play the game, the weapons that you used to play the game. That's like a full, full gacha. This game's, whole core is not actually a gacha game.
there's something I would like to address. Duet Night Abyss is certainly taking gacha game graphics to the next level. Since it's developed on Unreal Engine, you can expect performance to be a bit hit or miss. This game is also teetering on what mobile phones can handle. I will not be commenting on the performance for the remainder of the review, but to my knowledge, it suffers from occasional performance issues on certain PCs at the moment, and I shudder to think what those playing on a phone will be like. Now, I don't do any of the technical side and do any benchmarking here, but I did run a quick test on my own phone to see what it's like. And the question you might ask is, what the hell are you running the game on to get it this smooth? Well, it can be none other than the Red Magic 11 Pro, which
Okay, man, get your bag, get your ad in there, get your bag.
Duet Night Abyss is developed by Pan Studio and published by Hero Games, which to my understanding are relatively small in scale, and this game must have taken a pretty big cut out of their budget. Anyways, after a lengthy campaign of over 2 years, the game is finally out. What was supposed to be a game that had the traditional approach of a stamina system and gacha banners has changed to something we've never seen before. I guess we'll start with an overview of the game. I read the story when I was playing during its first close.
What do you mean we've never seen before? You grind out characters and weapons similar to this in a game like Warframe. Not the same, but similar.
Beta test, and I thought it was pretty good. The game features a dual narrative approach, so the two protagonists are not just versions or alter egos of each other, but rather completely different people with their backstories. It's also pretty refreshing to see a gacha protagonist not have the typical amnesia trait, where they're a blank slate. It's definitely one of the better gacha game stories I've gone through, well, in terms of 3D gachas at least. I think some of the facial animations still look a little bit off for the NPCs, but for the most part, the presentation is fine. They're probably pretty proud of that intro fight scene. I would like to also give a quick shout out to the music. The track variety is impeccable and are all beautifully composed. Sometimes takes a page straight out of Nier Automata, which happens to feature my favorite video game soundtrack of all time. As for the gameplay, you can only on-field one character at a time, but I suppose the game was trying to go for a more co-op approach in the late game with different roles like support, DPS, and healers. You can equip one melee.
You can on-field 3 characters at a time. You can main play one character, but you could have your 2 partners with you.
And ranged weapon, all with their different variations. Worth mentioning that every character can use every weapon, though the element the weapon attacks are infused with will still match the character's element. When you use left click, you swing the weapon, and holding right click fires the gun. There's all sorts of moves and combos you can do, like attacks right after a slide, when slamming down, when holding, or pressing attack repeatedly. You have a dodge move to evade enemy attacks, a slide to initiate a helix leap, though I struggle to see why you would ever use the slide by itself. You have a shield meter above your health and an energy gauge to use your
Slide his ass.
skill or alt attack. I found most of the content in the game to be pretty easy. As long as you level everyone to an acceptable range, you can just spam
Homie was level 40 and all the content in the game is pretty easy, yup. You would expect the beginning content to be pretty easy, you know?
left click to get through it. There's some miscellaneous activities you can do in the overworld, like fishing, shooting minigames, and catching Genimon. I didn't really get too deep into it, but some of the Genimon can have some unique effects, like picking up enemy drops at a longer range. When you're not doing co-op, you can set 2 other AI companions to fight alongside you, but co-op content will take one of those AI slots away for every extra player. I should also mention that DNA is not marketed as an open world game, but rather an RPG with open world elements.
Yep.
You can't really do a lot of crazy things out in the wild, though sometimes you'll come across hidden chests and minigames. Just don't count on exploration being a big part of your experience here. There's also the impression system where you have a list of 6 personality traits, and choosing certain dialogue will increase one. When you perform a check, you roll a dice, the higher that stat, the higher the chance to succeed. I don't really think this matters all that much, and you can also just create the dice currency in the forging menu, so you can just keep trying again. But
I ain't even done that, bro. Like, the dice ain't even that big of a deal.
anyways, enough about the gameplay. Let's talk about the main attraction. So, one of Do Night Abyss's main attractions is the promise of a no stamina system, respecting the player's time, they said. You
Yeah.
can farm whenever you want. Is all of that actually true?
Okay, before we continue with the video, I want to say, you can farm whatever you want. You can farm whatever you want. But there are certain things that have weekly limits. Some of those things are going to be the weekly bosses, right? Fishing and Genimons. You guys have heard me talk about this. Genimons and fishing should not have a weekly cap. You should just be able to, get them all the time. Genimon spawning randomly, fishing allowing to be done whenever you want because it's just a leisure activity. And the weekly bosses, I'm fine with them having just weekly limits. But apart from that, you can literally spend hours upon hours farming weapons, characters, wedges, upgrade materials, non-stop. There are some characters and some weapons that are going to be in the weekly bosses, but eventually, as they add more characters, they will rotate from the theater mode, which is one of our endgame activities, into the weekly bosses, and from the weekly bosses into the regular standard pool that you can farm at any point you want.
Let's see. Heading into the Combat tab, you'll access many different commission types to complete for loot drops. All sorts of goodies can be farmed here, such as XP for your characters or weapons, Demon Wedges as the relic system for set bonuses, Ascension material, and wins to farm for new characters and weapons. You can do these alone or in co-op, and some will take longer than others. In theory, if you wanted to max out a character, you can just grind for hours and you'll be able to achieve just that. So, the lack of stamina is a good thing, right? Well, in my opinion,
Yeah.
not really.
Well, your opinion is stupid. I just want to say that. I don't even know what else you're going to say. But the lack of stamina is not really a good thing. What? Why? Why?
When you do a normal commission, you can use a booster to increase the drop rate of rewards for
Yeah.
that run. With some of the better boosters netting you up to 20 times the rewards.
Yeah.
The problem is that you have to buy these with premium currency. While you can make the argument that this is still better than having a stamina system since you can just farm whenever you want, you also have to come to terms that someone that's willing to pay a little extra will progress faster than you, even though you both put in the same amount of effort.
Oh no, they can progress faster than me. What's the problem with that? So what if they can progress a little faster than me? All the actual valuable endgame modes, you can run by yourself. Theater, maze, bounties, you could do all of that by yourself. There's literally no reason, no obligation to play with nobody else. So what does it matter if someone is getting their characters leveled up faster than me? On top of that, I have gotten a couple books here and there, but I'm able to grind almost every day without a problem, without using books. So that's the reason why having no stamina is better. So you'd want stamina so you can compete with other people in your single player experience per se and be like, they're not getting ahead of me, bro. I don't know what games he plays, but in almost any gacha game, In almost any game where putting money is a thing, the people that puts money will always have an advantage. And that's not just in video games, that's life. Some dude puts more money into his car, guess what? Is going to be better than yours. You know what I mean? Some dude puts more money into his health, into his food, guess what? He's going to be more healthy than you for the most part. So that's a stupid argument as to why no stamina is a bad thing. I'm just saying, bro.
Whether this bothers you is purely subjective. No stamina system also means that you don't get player XP from just completing commissions. You can check what activities give player XP, but since the better commissions drop mats at a higher rate, you want to raise that level quick. Also, one extra kudos I gotta give is that the game lets you equip the same Demon Wedge on multiple characters or weapons. So, since you're gonna need like 20 of these per character, that's at least one less thing to worry about. I'm gonna talk about my thoughts on the character and weapon system now. You have to get the secret letter currency, then buy the secret letter.
Yo, did this man only build Randy? Oh no, he had Lizbel. Okay, he had Lizbel. Okay, he had Lizbel. Okay, cool.
On the character and weapon system now. You have to get the secret letter currency, then buy the secret letter of the character or weapon, then run the covert commission for the chance for their shard to drop.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna explain all of it in detail again since I did it in the sponsor video. Anyways, 30 of it equals 1 copy of them. In short, I think the system is good, but not as good as you think. First, I'd like to point out that you can skip the grind with the premium currency. This will cost you around $50 with some leftover, assuming you have the first top-up bonus. Do I have a problem that you can skip the grind with real money? No, not really. If you consider that if you were to try using top-up packs to guarantee a 5-star...
What game is this? Dog, is this Stella Sora? Is this Stella Sora or no?
in the conventional gacha game, you're likely gonna have to spend upwards of a couple $100s.
Yeah.
So $50 in that context, not so much anymore. However, you also have to keep in mind that each character has 6 dupe levels,
Yeah.
and they all requires 30 shards each. Because the shards are earnable in-game, this gives the devs and dedicated players room to make the dupe levels drastic increases to the character's strength, and defend that you can just grind it for free, so there's no problems here. That may be true, except you have to factor in the amount of time you have to spend to do it. And
oh no, I gotta spend time playing my video game where I have fun. I didn't just boot up my video game so I can sink some time into it and just drift away from the rest of the shit that I gotta deal with, like the regular job, some of the stresses of life. Oh my god, I gotta actually play and sink some time into grinding. That's already a negative, chat. I'm gonna be honest, that's already horrible. The fact that I gotta spend time to grind and like level up my shit, that game's trash.
will everyone have that much time on their hands? This is of course not including all the other ways you can upgrade the character, and acquiring weapons also has a similar grinding system. I should also mention that the rate in which you get the secret letter clues is limited. While you still can farm these at a slower rate by manually farming, it's just another process you have to go through to get what you want.
What did he say?
Slower rate by manually the secret letter clues is limited. Similar grinding system. I should also mention that the rate in which you get the secret letter clues is limited.
The rate at which you get secret letter clues is limited? Well, I mean, you would have to grind to get a certain amount of them depending on the mission and how much time you're there. There's not a staple, like, oh, you get 1 clue per minute, right? You don't got to play 2 hours to get, 120 clues. You don't get a clue per minute. You can sometimes get 20 in 5 minutes. You can sometimes get 25 in 5 minutes. You can sometimes get 5 in 5 minutes. It's very random, but I don't know what he means by limited. Like, does he want to just go in, do 1 mission, and get 5,000 clues or something?
While you still can farm these at a slower rate by manually farming, it's just another process you have to go through to get what you want.
Yeah.
The lack of a stamina system is honestly a double-edged sword, if you ask me. In a normal
No one asked you. I'm just saying.
gacha game, you press 1 button to spend your stamina to farm for all you can, then you're done for the day and you can spend your time doing other things.
Yeah, that's why it's dog shit. Yeah. That's why it's dog shit. Like, I don't want to hop into a game to have fun, right? Span my stamina, like you just said, and be done in 5 minutes. That's not fun. Like, I'm just saying. If you have 15 other gacha games you play, I guess you can get 5 minutes out of each one of them, and you get a good amount of playtime out of all your games, sure. But I come from a generation where we boot up our game to play our game. We don't boot up our game to get out of our game as fast as possible. So like I actually value being able to grind a good amount of time and not just spend my stamina, run one experience mission and be done with all my stamina and all the activities I can do for the day. Yeah, that's not a good thing.
You do this every day or whenever you can. It's quick sessions of stimulus that expose you to just enough to form a habit and slow down your progression. From a player retention perspective, it works great and probably why the vast majority of mobile games have them. It will continue to have them in the foreseeable future. On the other
No, look, that's not why they have it. They have it to generate FOMO, to generate crackheads in video games that are afraid of missing out on that little daily bonus, right? They want to make sure you keep coming in for this minuscule, pathetic increases to your account that you can only achieve in the designated time, right? And that's also why players eventually get bored, because you can't really play the game as much as you want and you have to keep logging in. Sure, you could say it keeps the players coming back and playing, so the player retention aspect of it is there, but it's also turning players into crackheads where you got to log in every day to make sure you don't miss out on, you know, your dailies, your weeklies, your stamina cap, that you don't want it to overcap and all of that stuff. That's not a positive from a video game and enjoying yourself perspective. As a gamer, you don't want that. You want to boot up your game to play as much as you want, be it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 30 minutes, but not have it be dictated by stupid time gates of stamina and entries to activities.
other hand, when you do the exact same thing over and over again for 3 hours, you're going to experience burnout. Even if you can fully complete the 6 dupe levels in like 2 hours, that's still going
What it
to be a lot of burnout. You do the exact same thing over and over again for 3 hours, you're going to experience burnout.
You know, okay, this has to be rage bait, bro. I feel that we're in an era where a lot of these content creators, bro, be making rage bait videos, and like, personally, I can't do that, bro. Like, I know I make rage bait or rage baity thumbnails sometimes, or baity, clickbaity thumbnails. That's just the YouTube algorithm. But when it comes to the content of my videos, I will never put myself out there with idiotic takes, bro. I just don't do that. I usually have to have well-grounded opinions regarding what I say that literally make sense. This right here sound kind of stupid.
You do the exact same thing over and over again for 3 hours, you're going to experience burnout.
One, you don't have to do the same thing every day for 3 hours. You don't have to. You know why? Because if you don't play this game for a day, you're not missing out on your stamina cap. If you don't play this game for 2 days, you're not missing out on a bunch. You might miss out on a little bit of the login rewards, but you can do the same thing you do with your other gacha games. Play for 5 minutes and then hop off. You don't have to waste all your stamina. You don't have to do your dungeon entries. You don't got to do all of that every single day. On top of that, why do you do the same thing? One day you could be farming for character ascension materials. A whole nother day you could be doing capture missions to try to get some genie mons. Another day you could be running maze, which is really good for cash. Another day you could be running theater, where you're fighting some harder and progressively harder waves and eventually some bosses. There are plenty of different activities, and the only important thing is that you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it, right? I have no problem, you know, back in my day, hopping on and turning on Call of Duty and playing for 3, 4, 5 hours doing the same thing, which was matchmaking, team deathmatch, capture the flag, and just shooting people in the game, right? That was normal. Playing GTA Online, running around, you know, robbing people, shooting people, flying my jet, the same thing every day. That's just gaming, bro. Like, it's not like we're playing tic-tac-toe every single day for the same hours. There's plenty of diversity that you can do in the game, and then on top of that, once again, you're not forced to do it because you don't have a fear of missing out. If you log in one day on the weekend, like if you're a busy person and you log in on the weekend, you can get all your daily or all your weeklies done on that one day by playing like an hour or two. Literally, you do all your 5 boss entries, you do your bounties, and you do your maze in like an hour or two, and you're done with the obligatory weekly content. And then after that, you can take it easy, take it at your own pace, farm 6 hours one day, farm 2 hours one day, not log in a whole other day.
Even if you can fully complete the 6 dupe levels in like 2 hours, that's still going to be a lot of time for some people. Plus, given that dupes are drastic power increases, it can often feel that if you don't complete the farming for the dupes, the character feels incomplete. I imagine what will inevitably happen is that people will optimize the hell out of this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's what people do when they play video games. Not everybody, but I mean, I don't really know many gamers. There are some out there, but I don't know many gamers that play video games and don't want the shiniest, strongest weapon or shiniest, fastest car or coolest looking outfit. I don't really know many people that play games without that mentality. There are some out there for sure, but optimization and mid-maxing in these video games, not just gacha games, but gaming in general, is just the way to go. You start playing Call of Duty and you start off with some yee-ass guns. By the time you've played 100 hours, guess what? You're probably going to be rocking some cool-ass guns with some camos and some cool attachments. What's wrong with optimizing runs, speed running things? That's great. The fact that we can do it is great. Boot up your gacha games. What are you going to optimize? Picking mint? How fast you can spam your energy in one dungeon run where you burn up all your energy? Is that what you're going to optimize in mid-max? That's a whole different player base, my brother. We're different. We're trying to grind it out and find ways to optimize our time and do these runs quicker and do more damage and do better builds. That's gaming for a lot of people. I don't see why that's a problem.
Fastest farming routes, fastest teams to do mission types,
Yeah.
fastest commission types to run. I tried to unlock a few characters and I was able to unlock a copy of Sybil in like 30 minutes. Now, since the covert commissions refresh every hour, this means you can wait until you see a mission type that's way shorter to complete. I think the best one out right now is the Dismantle mission type. You can basically zoom across the map and delete the 3 beacon points in less than a minute.
Yeah.
I found this to be extremely efficient in farming the shard, and even though part of it does come down to luck, this is what I would do if I wanted to unlock a character fast.
So, with that said, if there are multiple different mission types, even if it's 5, even if it's 6, right? Different mission types where you can farm just character clues alone, right? How are you doing the same thing for 2 or 3 hours? I guess you can broaden it and be like, well, you're still farming character clues. Yeah, but you're not doing the same thing. In one mission for 20 minutes, you can be, escorting a car to an objective point. In another mission, you could be capturing a zone and defending a zone. Another mission, you could be hopping in for 20 seconds and destroying 3 little objectives like Dismantle and hopping out. But they're not the same type of missions.
I couldn't care less about playing these levels. These are just a means to get what I want, and I want to get past this chore as fast as I can.
All you got to do is swipe, like you probably do in the other gacha games you play, right? All you got to do is swipe and get the characters. Like, what makes it any different from the other ones? Oh, I know what makes it different. We don't have a 50-50.
Circling back to the topic of player retention, for anything that requires a concentrated amount of brain usage, you're gonna get exhausted both mentally and physically. Even though you know that the game is fun, you'll also...
What do you say?
Circling back to the topic of player retention, for anything that requires a concentrated amount of brain usage, you're gonna get exhausted both mentally and physically.
Anything that requires it, bro, that sentence just fried me. That shit was actually dumb. That shit was actually, what? What?
Requires a concentrated amount of brain usage, you're gonna get exhausted both mentally and physically.
Anything that requires a concentrated amount of brain usage, you're going to get exhausted mentally and physically. Ain't no way, bro. Are you telling me I'm having to bake brain and solve mathematical equations, solve world hunger, and, do rocket science to figure out the optimal position for Rebecca's jellyfish? Is that what you guys are doing, chat? Is that what's going on? Y'all are getting mentally and physically drained from the intense brain power that it takes to play this game? Is that what's going on, chat?
Even though you know that the game is fun, you are also likely to mentally associate your exhaustion as a consequence of playing the game. If you take a look at numerous surveys, the average gaming session for a mobile user is around 5 minutes.
Ain't no way this man is pulling... Bro, this man literally just said... Well, actually, if we count in the mobile players, they usually play for about 6 to 8 minutes a day. Like, bro, stop it. Get some help. Eat some ass. Touch some grass. What are we talking about, bro? What are we even talking? Bro! Dog, listen. This game is on mobile, but I'm gonna tell you right now, the majority of the player base definitely ain't playing on mobile, bro. And even if they are, they're definitely grinding more than 6 to 8 minutes. This is a game that has that feature, as well as many other games. Bro, that's like Warframe coming out on mobile. That's like Destiny Rising came out on mobile. That's like an MMO coming out on mobile and saying it's trash because there's more than 6 to 8 minutes in a gameplay session. What the hell is even this? Why are you pulling out graphs in this random ass video, bro?
Now you might
Ain't
argue,
no way.
well, DNA is not a mobile game. Okay, well, did you know that the platform distribution for players in Genshin Impact, which many would agree to be the
In what? In what? In Genshin Impact. Oh no. Oh,
benchmark
no.
of the
I'm not
gacha
even- I'm not-
industry, about 65% of players are on mobile.
Yeah, because in games like Genshin Impact, you're fighting like 4 to 5 mobs at a time. There might be a couple of, enemies, but you ain't fighting no 100 mobs. And you also play for 5 minutes. There ain't much to do. You go in, you burn your stamina in 5 minutes, do your dailies in -2 seconds, and then you're done. That's it. There ain't shit. Just like WoWa, just like ZZZ, just like all these other gachas. For the most part. How you gonna compare? Bro, the problem that I'm seeing throughout the whole video is that for some reason, he's seeing this game as a gacha first game. This ain't a gacha first game. You don't hop into this game with the same mentality you hop into like Genshin, you hop into like WoWa. That's not how it is, bro. It don't matter if in the past it was a gacha game where you pulled characters and what. It's not that anymore. That's not how this game is meant to be enjoyed or played, bro. You don't hop into it thinking you're gonna get another Genshin, you're gonna get another Wuthering Waves. That's not at all how this game is, bro.
A large portion of the player base for these games are on their phones. You
Yeah.
can see how we might be running into a problem here. Mobile
No.
games are designed for quick bursts of playtime during your breaks or lunch.
This man said quick burst of playtime and then put ZZN in the freaking clip when he said, listen, I don't know about y'all, but if you've played any ZZN, if you played this game right here that's on screen, y'all know damn well this don't take quick burst of playtime, dog. Running through them freaking dungeons to get better cards for your characters, I'd be in that shit for like an hour, bro. Running one little dungeon, bro, like one, to get a build for my 1 or 2 characters. That is like the worst example he could have picked right there for quick burst of playtime. I'm just saying, bro. I'd be chilling with my girl in bed playing CZN, bro, when that game first came out, and she would turn to me and she'd be like, what do you do in that game that you played for so long? Like, what are you doing in there? And I'm like, I'm just running this dungeon that I gotta play manually, and like, I gotta actually get all the way to the end and beat the boss, and then there's a whole nother dungeon after that with a whole nother boss at the end. She's like, damn, that takes you like an hour and a half. I'm like, yeah, that shit long as fuck. This is the worst example for quick burst of playtime, bro.
It was never meant to be played for prolonged periods. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, if you will. Whether or not DNA's system will backfire is anyone's guess. Now you may be wondering, alright genius, if you think both having stamina or not having it are bad ideas, then what do you suggest? Oh, I got a suggestion alright, but it's never going to be implemented. I propose that you just
Look, before I hear the suggestions, I hope they're decent. Please. We're 11 minutes into the video and I'm starting to get signs of like Ebola in the back of my neck, bro. Like, I hope they're decent.
What do you suggest? Oh, I got a suggestion alright, but it's never going to be implemented. I propose that you just need to get rid of all the methods to upgrade a character. You don't need to farm materials to level or ascend them. You don't need to level or ascend weapons. Get rid of the Demon Wedge system. Get rid of leveling skills. When you get a character, you can
What the fuck just happened? What just happened, chat? This man just said, just not have a game. What the hell just happened with, did I, yo, chat, hold on. Did I hear that correctly? That there's no way he said that. There's just no way.
question alright, but it's never going to be implemented. I propose that you just need to get rid of all the methods to upgrade a character.
What the fuck? What do you mean all the methods to upgrade a character? Get rid of all the mission modes to upgrade characters?
You don't need to farm materials to level or ascend them.
You don't need materials to up... What games... Bro, look, I don't really even know. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what game this guy plays. I've never, like, interacted with this channel. What games does he play? Because in, like, literally almost all the games that I've ever played, there is, like, an ascension method where you need materials or you need experience or you need something to get yourself stronger. Shit, take this back to, like, OG games way back in the day, bro. Pokemon, older if you want. There is experience. There is, like, things that you feed your characters to get them stronger and moves that you can equip to them and stuff. What just happened with this take, bro?
You don't need to level or ascend weapons. Get rid of the Demon Wedge system.
This was the craziest one, bro.
To level or ascend them. You don't need to level or ascend weapons. Get rid of the Demon Wedge system.
Get rid of the Demon Wedge system. Get rid of the literal system in the game that gives identity to character building, that gives diversity to character building, that allows people to have expression with the way they play their characters, whether they want to run them with, you know, more range or more sustainability to their skills or more damage. Take away the one feature in the game that diversifies this from a lot of other games where you have a static, you know, build. Let's think of games like Genshin or Wuwa. A character comes out in a game like Wuwa, you know from day one what build you're gonna, what echo set you're gonna put on that character. Oh, yo, they just dropped a new fire character. Yup, it's gonna have the fire set with the same exact, you know, effect that the other fire character is gonna have. Oh, and they dropped the DPS for the most part, right? What stats do I go for? The same ones that you go on every single DPS, right? Every single one. Crit rate, crit damage, attack, and then the damage type. That's it. This is what gives this game variety and an identity. And taking this out, bro, this is the most... Whoo! This is a crazy bad take. And I know for a fact that, bro, I don't even know how many views this video got because I clicked it so quick. I know for a fact this video got a lot of views. Because I feel that we're in a day and age where a lot of, like, review content creators for these type of games, they drop these videos that they know is going to be very inflammatory content, and it gets the people going. If you watch a lot of creators that be doing reviews on these games, right, whether it's Blue Protocol, whether it's games like this, a lot of them would have played so little, but they somehow have the most deepest, like, shittiest takes, and they act like they're game developers. Like, they know exactly what's best for the game while simultaneously taking a dump on a literal video and uploading it to YouTube, bro. That's just crazy to me, bro. This is a atrocious take, bro.
Get rid of leveling skills. When you get a character, you can passively level them from running stages, but that's it. When you get a weapon, you already have it at the strongest point it can be. Your skills can be passively leveled or unlocked as a flat version that doesn't change. No RNG gear system as well. You can switch between different skill sets, but you don't need to grind for this.
He's basically saying go play a completely different game, chat. He's saying go play a different game, right? And I feel that as gamers, there is so many different things and so many different variety in gaming that specifically asking for that is so stupid. Like, that's like you going into any game that you want. Right now, he's putting Limbus Company. That's like putting Limbus Company in here and saying that you want it to be like Genshin Impact. Or you want it to be like Honkai Star Rail. And whatever makes Limbus Company unique is trash because the other way to play the game is better. Well, if it's better, go play the other game. Like, like what are we talking about?
I think the only way you can solve the stamina issue is to just remove what you are using it for. Obviously, for mobile games that incentivize daily logins, this absolutely cannot happen. So my suggestion will just forever be that. I would also like to comment on the gacha list system as well. Despite not having a stamina system, you'll still be barred by the rate you can acquire them. This system is great if you have a lot of time to game and find the grind to be addicting. I'm sure there will be a crowd for it. I overall think this system is fine, just not that much of an improvement over a traditional gacha system.
Bro, y'all, look, I love you guys. I love my community. Like, straight up, I'll kiss you in your neck if you're over the age of 72. But the reality of it is sometimes y'all send me some videos that straight up give me diarrhea, Ebola, and, like, all kinds of diseases. Oh my goodness, bro. What do you mean there's not a big improvement over a general gacha system? You can get the characters, all of them, for free. All of them for free. And not for free by playing 3 months. And you can get the characters for free right away, right? If you so desire. You can dupe the characters for free by playing the game. You say it takes so long. If you sit down for 12 hours, you can max dupe a character. If you split that 12-hour grind in 2-hour sessions, it would take you 6 days by playing 2 hours to max dupe a unit. You can't do that in a gacha game. There is no 50-50. No more wanting to literally bite your elbows. Have y'all ever tried to bite your elbows? There is no more literally trying to bite your elbows when you're summoning on a banner and you pull Ling Yang. There's no weapon banner. There is no more, I'm just gonna skip the weapon and use the second best in slot because I gotta choose between the character and the weapon. There is none of that. How is it not an improvement from the regular gacha system? I don't know. Honestly, that's another doo-doo ass take.
If you don't want to spend hours of your time on this, though, the only alternative will be to pay up. But hey, a valid argument is that you won't have to risk random chances to save up for months just to not get what you want. If you put in the effort, you will get the character.
Yeah.
However, there are people that think otherwise. This is gonna sound insane, but gambling is really fun.
Oh my god, bro. This man said gambling is really fun. You know what you can do to gamble? Gamble. Go to a casino. Go to the horse races. Go gamble somewhere, bro. Like, go find another game that allows you to gamble. If you so desire to live on the edge and get that little dopamine rush from pulling a new shiny character and the small chance of getting cucked by the character you don't want, if you find that fun, there is something seriously wrong with you. Don't get me wrong. Getting that adrenaline rush and that dopamine of, I just pulled the new shiny character, yeah, that's cool. But if you give me that as an option, and on the other hand is just grind, and eventually you're going to get the same shiny prize, I think having, the reward for my effort be given to me is much better than gambling and risking getting shafted by all means. Like, this is bro, gacha gaming and like iPad babies and all of that have done a massive damage to generations, bro. That is actually insane.
There are people out there that play gacha games precisely because of the thrill. Think about how good it.
Because they've been turned into crackheads, as I've said earlier. They be scratching their necks every time a new character comes out. Yeah, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna win the 50-50. Oh, hell yeah. That shit don't sound healthy. That shit don't even sound good. That don't even sound normal or cool or fun. Like, Of course, gambling, it's not fun. Winning, it's fun. Ask any gambler. Ask anybody that plays these gacha games. Do you have fun when you lose your 50-50? Do you have fun when you pull Ling Yang? Find a motherfucker that'll tell you yes. Find somebody that tells you yes. You won't. You won't. Gambling in itself is not fun. It's the winning that's fun. Let's get that straight, bro. The crackhead side of things is not what keeps people there. It's that itch to win. That's what's fun. And we all love winning, regardless if it's in a game with gacha mechanics or anything in life, right? It's just fun to win.
Felt to land that 5-star in a single pull, while the rest of the plebeians had to go to pity for the same thing. Now that certainly was a highlight. I'm one to think that the no gacha option is still better than having one, though I feel as if though DNA's approach may not be what some mobile gamers are looking for. So here's what I propose to be the true solution to the no gacha problem.
I don't want this man's solutions anymore, bro. I feel like I'm about to get hit with another doo-doo shit to my neck bone.
You still have daily missions and events that give out the gacha tokens at a controlled rate. However, when you go into the gacha screen, instead of seeing the 1 or 10 pull up,
why does he keep pulling Stella Sora? Ain't this game dog shit? Like, extremely predatory? Like, didn't the devs have to apologize, bro? Like, why does he keep using these doo-doo ass examples? Like, no, bro.
You just see a single button. 10,000 gems to get this character. No gambling here. If you click the button, you will get it. There's no ambiguity or 50-50 rate up chances. We retain the casual
Listen, bro. Listen to what he said.
screen instead of events that give out the gacha. True solution to the no gacha problem.
The true solution to the no gacha problem.
Still have daily missions and events that give out the gacha tokens at a controlled rate.
You still have daily missions and events that give the currency to get the characters.
However, when you go into the gacha screen, instead of seeing the 1 or 10 poll option, you just see a single button.
Okay. Right now, there is a literal event in the game where you just do the activities exactly like you said, and you get 600 secret letter clues for characters or weapons or wedges. You know how long it takes you to get that character? 30 minutes after you get those clues. 30 minutes it takes you to get that brand new character. I guarantee you that any of the games you've showed, whether it's Stella Sora, whether it's Limbus Company, whether it's CZN, if we put them all in a blank slate, none of them give you enough currency in just one event to allow you to get a character within 30 minutes unless you get blessed by the RNG gods and do a temple and instantly get the character. And you gotta win the 50-50. Whereas in this game you can. You can grind for 2 to 3 hours at most, which is still faster than any of these games in terms of currency acquisition. And in those 2-3 hours, get enough secret letter clues and the character, which is once again faster than any of these. The only difference is that you don't just log in, click claim, log out, and do this for 5 or 6 days until you eventually gather enough currency to do your summons. You actually play a little bit, which I guess it's really bad in this guy's scenario.
10,000 gems to get this character. No gambling here. If you click the button, you will get it. There's no ambiguity or 50-50 rate up chances. We retain the casual nature of gacha games while getting rid of the gambling aspect. If there's a gacha game willing to go this route, that'd be something I praise all day. Overall, I think DNA systems are fine. I think it does things differently enough that people will be giving it a fair shot. It's just not what I believe to be objective improvements over what gacha games have had in the past. Of course, that doesn't
Yes, because they're not trying to improve on the way the gacha system works. They're trying to move away from it. Warframe and the way Warframe works when you farm out your Warframes and your weapons was not a way to improve the gacha system. It was a way to acquire materials, characters, weapons in an entertaining way where you're still grinding, getting the thrill of getting a new shiny part for your frame or your weapon. They weren't trying to improve upon a gacha system, because gacha system is dog shit. So they were not trying to do that. And even though this game at one point was a gacha game, they weren't trying to improve upon a gacha system with this. They were trying to move away from it into another system. Once again, a Warframe-like system that rewards players that want to play and grind the game.
exactly mean gacha is taken out of the game for good. DNA is using a cosmetics-focused monetization approach. While there are many deals in the game accessories and full outfits, the upper echelon of the cosmetics goes to these gacha skins. I suspect it's something like this what happened, since the game still has to make some money somehow. This means they're gonna be a bit more stingy with the skins. As you can see, the rates are really not in your favor here, a 0.3% chance to land a premium cosmetic, and it's split into different rewards.
Isn't this around the same type of rates in a lot of gacha games? Not saying they're good by any means. Gacha rates of any kind are shit, right? But there's a lot of gacha games that have similar rates. I'm just saying.
Now, when a gacha gets transferred to a skin gacha, then the value of it becomes a lot more subjective. After all, how much would you be willing to pay for this? Some people absolutely don't care about skins. Some people play games because of them. Since the characters are farmable, this gives room for the developers to be as stingy as they want with the skins, and you really can't argue against it. If they wanted to make some $60 skins, some $200 skins, you know what I'm saying? Then they're kind of free to do so. You can bet that you won't be getting a lot of free pulls here. I would also like to point out that DNA is definitely not the first to have a skin gacha. There are numerous examples of older gachas that have had this approach. It just happens to be the first that's also a high budget release. Me personally,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with this, but that's mainly because I don't really care about cosmetics most of the time. There will be people that really want these skins, so the skin gacha really isn't something I can make a good objective judgment on. People often argue about what is considered as pay to win. How since it's just cosmetics, there's absolutely no paying involved. However, if your win condition is to have the coolest looking skins, well in that case, DNA will be pay to win. For you, specifically. So we've
That's a stupid way to put it, but I guess.
talked about everything unique DNA has to offer, and I think the gacha list character system, lack of stamina, and the cosmetic space monetization are all mostly okay. I'm sure they will appeal to a certain fanbase that will support the game because of it. However,
Sure.
I believe Dual Knight Abyss suffers from one major issue. Something
More?
that's way harder to fix, and something more ingrained in its systems.
Ooh, here we
The
go.
gameplay is just kinda boring. I mean, I understand that there's all sorts of tricks and maneuvers you
Bro, what? This man was playing Randy, a character that you build around the fence. A character whose one of its abilities is sitting down on a chair. He picked probably the least active character to play in the game outside of Rebecca and said it's boring. He's also level 50 in the video. So he's farming like the very beginning content of the game. Once again, there are so many game modes where you will be farming fodder enemies because that's the way games like Warframe works, you know, where you're farming hordes of enemies. It's just a slashy type of game. But there is also a lot of content where you got to pay attention. Try to do tower or, you know, theater and see if you can just sit there with a Randy and just not do anything, right? And not pay attention to the boss mechanics where they're going to be hitting you and stuff. You know, you're not going to be doing that. Try to do, you know, weekly bounties. You still got to rush to the locations and do the mechanics that you're doing. And I'm sure with more time, even more interactive content is going to launch. But all these players that not only made reviews of the game, but actually barely played the game, barely build the characters, and only used the basic, like, grindy format to gauge how fun the game is so dumb. That's like me going into Withering Waves right now, right? Going into the coin domain, going into the character leveling up domain for materials, right? Farming that and like one-tapping the enemies in there with my characters that I've worked on and saying, well, the gameplay is boring because just everything dies without me barely having to pay attention. That's like me going into the overworld with my fully worked on arrow team with Cartethia and like just dropping my ultimate sword and wiping out 5 different mobs and saying, yo, the game is boring because there's like no hard combat or anything. There is specific missions for everything. You can't gauge the value and the difficulty or the entertaining factor of the game's combat by picking a very specific type of content and leaving out the one that's actually entertaining, because all of these games have that. You're gonna go into ZZN and you're gonna click the material farm to get your character ascension materials. You're gonna click auto and you're gonna say, well, the game is boring because the combat is non-interactive. No, then you're gonna go into like the chaos dungeon and see how interactive it actually is.
boring? I mean, I understand that there's all sorts of tricks and maneuvers you can do, except for the week I played this game, I just spammed live click and felt I was never challenged. I feel like there's no synergy between a character's kit and how you can express them.
There is no synergy between a character's kit and how you can express them, my guy. You have level 40 characters fighting level 40 enemies. I don't even think at this point you had unlocked your character passives. You're using the weapon that they give you for free at the very beginning of the game. That's yes, you haven't even built proper teams. You're literally running Randy with Outsider with the MC. I don't even think these motherfuckers have almost that much synergy together. I'm not even gonna lie. And you're level 40, so you haven't even unlocked any of the things that actually give you synergy to your characters. You haven't unlocked builds to make synergistic combos. Simple explanation. grab yourself a team of 3 units, right? In this game, grab your example, just throwing things out here, Lisbel, right? Grab yourself your Lady Niffle. Right there, there's synergy. Passives on each other will buff the lumino damage of the main character. If you're having Lisbel as your support unit, right? Throw in another character in there. Throw in like this dude, the MC. Boom, you got weapon damage increased, right? And trigger probability increased. Boom, synergy right there, right off the bat. Then let's get into the demon wedges, right? Get the one that gives you sanity on one of your supports, and get the other support to get the wedge that gives your whole team more damage. Synergy right there, but you can't expect synergy and complexity when you're level 40, my guy. Like, you get to level 40 in like 30 minutes of playing the game. Like, what are we talking about?
Moves you can do just feel like different variations of the same attack. Because of how you can only on-field one character at a time, you can't do any elemental interactions or rotations with other characters in the party. I've also read in the reports on the movement not feeling as smooth, but I'm assuming this is fixable.
Once again, he's literally wanting the game to play like a different game. It's bad that we can only have one character on the field because we can't do elemental interactions, yada yada. You can absolutely do interactions. Throw in a Tabitha and throw in a Rebecca. Tabitha will literally pick up all the enemies with her tentacles, and Rebecca will have the jellyfishes in the area just ticking away damage at them. That's one interaction right off the bat that I can think of. Have a character in your party. Have a Lisbel be your main character, and have Lady Niffle be your support unit. Lady Niffle will gather up all the enemies with her skill, suck them all up into a vortex, and you'll grab Lisbel and just holy boink everybody with a giant sword, and they'll all be grouped up because of Lady Niffle. There's a lot of interactions, but if you're trying to like quick swap and, you know, have elemental interactions, there are 2 games off the top of my head that I can name for you that you can go and do that in. Withering Waves and Genshin Impact. If you're looking for quick swapping between your characters, if you're looking for having, you know, a Nemo interacting with, I don't know, Fusion or whatever it may be, those games will offer that for you. But switching this game to play like those other games is not the answer. Just like me going into a Genshin community or a Wuwa community and saying, hey, how about we make it so we can only play with one character and not have quick swap? Just like DNA. I think that'd be great. No, if I want that, I'll go play DNA. Like, what are we talking about?
Something that you cannot change is the very nature of the gameplay. I thought maybe they would have done something different apart from the early beta launch, but now that the game is out, it almost makes me think that they've dedicated most of the resources to revamping the progression system and left the gameplay design as is. I mean, in my eyes, the gameplay is the beating heart of the game. I can put up with a stingier system if the gameplay is good.
Yeah, so far, yeah, the movement system is definitely stiff. We can agree on that, chat. Like, when it comes to things like the slide mechanic, the slide has way too much friction, and the bullet jump, you land and you lose momentum. They have to add momentum to your movement. If you're running and do a bullet jump, by the time you land, you should be going even faster. If you're doing a slide and you go into a bullet jump, you shouldn't, like, slow down and then bullet jump. You should be able to slide fast and move into a bullet jump. That's facts. That's true. We're not out here glazing, you know, Duet Night Abyss. Like everything in life, like every video game and like absolutely anything else, there's always room for improvement, 100%. And there are many things that Duet Night Abyss has to improve without a shadow of a doubt. But some of the things he said here are astronomically horrendous.
But if it's not fun, then even the most generous gacha system can't save you. Now, I normally don't comment on the nature of gameplay since it makes no sense for me to argue that a 3D brawler is better than tower defense. In this case though, in the context of an action brawler, I feel like DNA just doesn't have much for me to chew on. Now, maybe there's something I'm not getting, but during my time playing, I just wiped the floor on every stage just by spamming normal attacks on my own.
He's fighting a level 40 boss. He's farming a level 40 boss once again.
Ability. So I didn't see a reason to learn enemy attacks or adapt a different strategy. In other action brawlers, you have different team members meant to play their roles, and it's satisfying to pull off a tight rotation or see how your team comes together. Here though, everyone is just kind of expected to do damage, and it's not exactly creative how they do it. There's no opportunity for me to know that I'm doing something wrong. As long as you can maintain your character and weapon levels and get some decent demon wedges, you won't be in any danger most of the time. My guess is that eventually some of the endgame content will be harder and more centered around co-op teams with distinct roles during the fight, so you have more interactable elements with other players and how you all come together to contribute. I know some of the Demon Wedges change your playstyle quite drastically, with some even adjusting your movesets, though I never got too deep enough into the game to know if it truly matters that much.
I believe you. You were only level 40.
My own prediction is that the game will do well enough to garner and maintain a player base. I don't think it's going to reach the upper echelon of gacha gaming revenues, and
It will not, because it's not a gacha game. It will not reach the levels of a Genshin Impact or a Wuwa or a ZZZ or a Love and Deep Space, because those games are made to generate crackheads. They're meant to make people want to spend all their money for minimal return, right? And not only that, but a few banners after a character drops, they usually get power crept by another even stronger character, which this might be the case in this game, but it's going to be a lot harder to power creep certain characters because they're already clearing all these modes, right? They're already doing as much as it needs to be done, so the game model is not really going to worry too much on the power creep scale. There might be stronger characters, but you'll still be able to clear everything. With that said, though, the monetization is so toxic and so predatory on actual gacha games that this game is not even going to come close to that. And anybody that looks at gacha revenues is a weirdo, and anybody that actually uses gacha revenues to measure how successful a game like Duet Night Abyss is also a weirdo.
I predict that not a lot of games will follow suit what DNA is doing. I'm sorry to say it, I highly respect Pan Studios' decision to remove the character gacha, but let's not kid ourselves. Skins are just not as profitable as trying to capture whales with dupes and signature weapons.
You don't say. That's why the devs in the dev stream specifically said that they're moving away from a monetization first mentality where they just want to milk their player base and get as much money from them, and rather give them a good player experience while simultaneously obviously trying to get some money with cosmetics and outfits and things like that, but they're not trying to milk the player base. Why are we putting these companies that legitimately want to milk their player base, like have them have FOMO every time a new character comes out, where you know you can't get it even if you want to because you don't have the currency, or you might have to swipe on a pedestal? Why are we making it sound like these companies are better for making decisions that progressively hurt the consumer? That's just ridiculous. We should be praising companies that are actually out here taking risk where they know they're going to make less money to provide a gaming experience that's more fun, or at least more achievable and affordable to their consumers. Like, what are we talking about?
The current models of traditional stamina and gacha systems work so well that I really think there's just no point of taking the risk of going the gacha skin route for a lot of developers. No, I don't think Duet Night Abyss will kill gacha games or reform them to a great extent.
Damn, bro. Shame on the developers for not being greedy cucks that want to milk their player base. Shame on them, guys.
The impact of the decision to remove stamina and character gacha will be fairly minimal in the grand scheme of things. The monotonous gameplay is something that's a bit more subjective, though I feel this is a much harder problem to tackle than performance or game economy issues. This is my main concern when playing the game, and for me, it leaves a lot to be desired. If you ask me how Duet Night Abyss will perform in the long run, I think it will do just fine. Maybe not to the extent of the other giants in the industry, but for a new studio, I would say it's pretty solid overall. I think the music, the story, and the general quality should be praised for a studio's first real attempt at a large title. I think the innovations to go the gachaless route in removing the stamina system are fine. They're not what I consider to be the ideal solutions to the problem they're meant to be addressing, but it's different enough that people will find interest in it. It just depends how this will all pan out in the long term. The monetization is mainly cosmetic space, and they're going to get a little stingy on that. My biggest gripe right now is the lack of interactivity in the gameplay, and this will be a much bigger issue to handle than the other items on the list. And even though it might not be for me, I can see how the game can have an addictive grind for the right players, and this is a game I overall would have no problems recommending to others to try. This is gonna be one of those games I'll check back in a year to see how well it's doing. When I first heard the news that DNA was removing the gacha, I thought this might have actually been a turning point in the genre, and when other studios see the success it's getting from this decision, they'd follow suit.
The reality of it is that removing the gacha was more of a player-driven decision, not a financially driven decision. So at the end of the day, this wasn't going to change the way gacha games work, because gacha games having the 50/50s, having banners, having dupes, having all these characters and weapons be on banners where you spend money to get them will always generate more money than a game like this. Ananta is another game that's coming out, and unless they have a literal carbon copy of GTA's online model, they're not going to make more money than a game like Genshin Impact and a game like Love and Deep Space, Withering Waves. They might make some money, millions when it first releases, but over time, like they said in the video, when you can just buy costumes, cosmetics, you know, things like that, they're not going to generate more money than games that are giving players this crackhead itch to get these characters. But honestly, this was a long video. That was a 1 hour reaction, ladies and gentlemen, and I see why you guys wanted me to react to this. I just gotta say before we end the video, honestly, I feel that when it comes to this particular game, this is a game that needs more time to keep developing itself, to keep cooking and keep growing. But the core fundamental things that the game currently offer are super good. Don't judge the game by what you play after getting to level 40, level 20, playing for 2-3 hours, and think that that's as deep as the game is going to get. You can say the game is not fun after playing 2 or 3 hours. You can absolutely say that. But don't say the game doesn't have a lot of interactions, doesn't have complex team building, doesn't have ways that the characters in your party interact within each other when you haven't gotten to experience that yourself. And once again, keep in mind, the core game that we're playing right now, meaning 1.0, is still the core game that was here when the game was still a doo-doo-ass trash gacha, you know, mode. As we move away from there with 1.1, 1.2, more things are going to get added to the game to hopefully keep moving away from that. But at the end of the day, we'll just have to see where DNA goes. I do appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you all for thugging it out with me in this video. I know a lot of people in the chat. I was peeping, y'all. I was looking over at my chat and I was like, damn, people out here getting pressed. This might be rage bait. This might be a constructive video regarding the game, but holy crap, were there some atrocious, just horrendous takes in this video. That's going to be it for me. I do appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.